Welcome to the episode of Built to Hold. I'm Tera Hall. Take out your paper, pen, whatever you use to take notes, and let's get into today's episode. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Together only works as everyone know where they're going and what they're responsible for along the way. Everybody got to be on the same page. Everybody got to be in sync. Everybody has to have that same rhythm. They got to know where you're going, right? We all need to know where we're going. So if everything falls on you when you step away, you don't have a team, you have a dependency. You don't scale by holding it all together. You scale by actually letting go and designing a structure, right? Put the things in place that doesn't break when you do that scale. So at a certain stage of growth, hustle, it was helpful, right? When we hustled to start our businesses, that was helpful. But then hustle becomes a hazard. We can no longer use hustle to scale a business. We used it to grow the business and we're using it as the business continue to grow, but we can't use it to scale a business. So this episode isn't about working harder. It's about what it takes to step out of the weeds without losing control. How can we do that? How do I take myself out of the day-to-day business without losing control of the business? Because that's what we fear. We think if we take ourselves out of the business, that everything is going to fall apart. We're going to lose control. But guess what? Not if you have structure in place, not if there's a container to hold the growth of your business. So here's the question to start today's episode. Are you leading a team or just holding everything together by yourself? If something depends on you showing up every time, it's not built to last. Now, growing, you're in momentum. So we're in momentum now because we're growing, we're rapidly scaling. But here's what it really looks like. You take time off and everything slows down. If that's you, say that's me. I can't take a week off. Things slow down. I want to try to take a vacation. Everything is going to start slowing down. The team keeps checking in before making decisions. Why do you all keep checking in with me? Because they don't know what to do. Nobody has been given authority to make decisions without checking in. Everything has to funnel through you. You're copied on things you shouldn't be involved in. Why are you copied on that customer service issue? If somebody on your team can handle that small issue, unless you're a team of one and we have to change that. Projects get stuck because people are waiting on you. If that's me, if that's you, say me, right? When you're available, progress stalls. I'm sorry, when you're unavailable, progress stalls. If that's you, say that's me. If they can't reach you, then we do nothing because everything has to go through you. You're praised for holding it together, but you're stretched thin. If you feel like I'm stretched thin, say that's me. Everybody's like, oh my God, you're doing all the things, but you're tired, right? The myth is my presence keeps things moving. The truth is my presence is the crutch the business still relies on. That's the truth. You're just a crutch right now, right? Because you're trying to scale, but it can't scale because you're the crutch. You're trying to do all the things in your business. You can't do all the things in your business because being the glue feels noble. People are praising you, high fiving, but it's fragile. You can't keep that up. You think you're stabilizing a business, but what you're really doing is holding together a structure that should have been rebuilt 5 hires ago. Something should have already been put in place way before now. So I have 2 questions for you to ask yourself. Where in your business are you still the glue? Think about it. What happens when you're not there? Does it keep running or does it stall? When you're not in your business, can it run without you or is it going to slow down? Does it stall? Be honest with yourself. Answer the questions and think about these questions honestly. Now, let me give you a visual. I'm going to use the Incredible Hulk when he becomes the Hulk, he outgrows his clothes, right? When the Hulk transforms, he grows, he expands, but his clothes, they're the same size. They don't grow with him. They rip and tear when he grows out of his clothes. But it's not because his clothes are made poorly, were not built for his size. So when the Hulk busted out those clothes, it because they were not made to fit that new person that he transformed into. He was too big for his clothes, his container. So they had to burst at the seams. They wasn't built for his size. So what this means for your business is you're growing, but your systems didn't grow with you. Let's think about that. You put those, you grew this great company, it's a beautiful company, right? But the systems in place was for that old business. This thing is growing into a new business and needs new systems with it as it grows. So now the systems that you currently have, they're literally tearing at the seams, and you're the one stuck holding them together. Imagine yourself trying to keep Hulk from busting out the seam of his clothes. This is not going to work, right? So now you're stuck holding everything together. So where in your business do you feel like the Hulk's clothes? Ripping at the seams. What parts of your business is stretched too thin because it wasn't designed for this level of growth? Be honest with yourself. Think on it. Your business is busting at the seams and you're the one trying to hold it all together. Right? If you're the glue, you're not leading. You don't have time because you're compensating for a system that's outgrown itself. You can't be over here in customer service. You can't be over here doing team execution. You can't also be in your leadership seat, right? And operate in your CEO zone of genius if you're trying to do all things. You're trying to hold everything together. You're compensating for a system that has simply outgrown itself. Your system has outgrown itself, and that's okay. But now it's time to put some things in place. Here's the price you're paying for staying at the center, for keeping yourself in the middle of it all. Now you're slowing down decisions because everything has to run through you. You're dragging the business along because every decision has to run through you. So now you're slowing it down because when you're dragging something, it's heavy. No one knows where their lane starts or ends. So there's team confusion. Don't nobody know what's happening. They don't know what people are doing. The roles are not clear. So teams are confused. You're everywhere, which means you're nowhere fully. Because you can't be everywhere, but nowhere fully because you're 10% here, 10% here. You can't get 10% everywhere and think it's 100%. That's not how it works. Right? So there's burnout by proximity. Now you're burning yourself out because you're trying to be in all the things again, right? You feel indispensable, but yet you're resentful all at the same time. I can't leave the company. I can't go on vacation. I can't do this because they need me over here, but I'm tired. Two things can exist. You can feel indispensable and also feel resentful towards your business, right? So you're also stuck in the day to day, not designing what's next. So there's vision dilution right there. You can't operate in your leadership capacity because you're stuck in the day to day things, checking emails about these fires throughout your company that someone else should already be handling, right? You may need to put a manager in place or an executive assistant to check those emails in your calendar and do all of those $10 task kind of things, but you continue to put yourself in the middle of those things. So now you can't continue to grow your vision because you're stuck in the day-to-day things, right? So you don't lead with your presence, you lead with structure. Your presence, just being there, is not what leadership is. As a CEO founder, You need to put structure in place to lead this new thing that your business is developing into as you scale. You're trying to scale, but you're also trying to hold the weight of that growth as you're scaling, as you're growing. So you're still the glue. It's because the business hasn't been taught how to run without you. Simple as that. You did the hustle thing. You hustled your way to this point. But now this hustle, which was helpful in the beginning, is now going to become a hazard. This is simply unsustainable. You can keep going like this, but eventually it breaks. And guess what breaks first? Keep on. Keep on trucking, the grit, doing the doing. But guess who's going to break first? You're going to break first because you're burnt out. You start resenting the business. You start thinking about selling, or you're silently self-sabotaging because you're not checking all those emails. You're not following up like you should. You're thinking about quitting and you just want to burn it all down. Not literally. This baby that you birthed, right? This beautiful thing that you brought into creation, you sick and tired of it now. You want to sell, but you're selling from a place of emotion, not from a place of logic. When we sell, we want to sell from a place of a logic, not a place of I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's not what you want to do, right? So you're thinking this way, not because the business is failing, but because you're still the fallback plan. And when you're no longer the fallback plan and you got systems in place that are working, and now you're able to think clearly. Now you don't want to sell your business. Now you're back in love with your business, right? Now you can focus on leading like a true CEO and not like you're still a machine operator in the business, keeping the whole thing running. You built this machine, right? You built this beautiful business, like I said. You built this beautiful machine. It's running, but now it's running on you. It's not running with you. And it's making you tired. It's exhausting. And this is not scale. This is structural codependency, right? You're dependent on the business is dependent on you. We're not going to operate like that. You can grow with grit, but you can only scale with structure. Grow means you have more people, you're hiring more team members, you have more customers, but they're all leaking back out. It's never filling up because there's no container to hold it that doesn't have holes in it. But when you put that structure in place, now you can scale. Because remember, scale and grow is two different things. We get that confused. It's like building blocks. When you're growing, think about bricks. You can keep stacking these bricks, one brick after another, as high as you want. But what's underneath that brick, underneath the bricks? As you keep stacking, is it going to hold all the weight of those bricks? Can it hold the weight of the bricks? Right? Can that floor or whatever you have, the weight of those bricks on, can it hold that structure without that container? You can hustle your way to success, but you can't hustle your way to sustainability. You can't you can't sustain that way, right? You can hustle to where we've already become because you're already successful, right? You hustled your way to success, but can we sustain that success? Remember, there's this high profile case that was on the news recently with this company that grew really fast. But could they sustain it? No, she couldn't sustain. Was the revenue coming in? Yes, the money was coming in, but it was also leaking out. We have to be strategic about scale. How can we change this? You don't stop being the glue when things slow down. That's not when you stop being the glue. You stop being the glue actually when growth starts to expose what's missing. We're going to use growth as a magnifying glass. As we grow, we're going to use that magnifying glass to see where exactly are the cracks, the gaps, the holes. Growth is not a reward. Exposing those gaps or cracks that we need to seal. Scale is going to be our reward. When growth reveals something, we can fix it. Growth reveals you've been using yourself as a system. Let's talk about it. As you're growing, you've realized, oh my God, I've been using myself as a system. You probably didn't feel this back in 5 figures, 6 figures, but now as you're in 7, 8, whatever the number is, oh, you realize I'm the system. I'm tired. I no longer love this baby that I brought into this world, the baby being the business, right? So, how do I fix this? Diagnose the friction. If you're showing up everywhere, you're not leading, you're compensating for a system that doesn't exist. You need a system, right? Growth revealed that critical decisions still relies on you. How do I fix this? I redesigned the decision path. If everything flows back to you, you don't have leaders right now. You have askers. And who has time for that? You hire people to lead, to do their jobs, not to ask you how to do their jobs. So you have to structure authority into their roles, defined roles, right? Define them. Give them some authority to do their task on their own. Give them that. Now, growth also revealed that there's chaos hiding behind the momentum. Growth is momentum, but then there's chaos hiding behind the momentum. So, how do we fix that? We document. My motto is if I have to say it 2 times, then it should be in a workflow. Anything you repeat 2 times need to be in a workflow. It need to be processed. It need to be a part of your SOPs. Systems eliminate chaos. Repetition is your cue. If I had to say it 2 times, I need to document this thing. And it can be a simple documentation. Open up a Google Doc, right? Put those steps in there. Record yourself saying the thing that you're doing, screen recording yourself doing the thing and talking about it. Video yourself doing the thing that you want the person to do, whether it's opening up your business in the morning. How should this look? Document it. Video yourself doing the thing. Now, growth revealed your success still depends on your presence. So to fix that, you're going to intentionally pull yourself out. You're going to stop plugging those holes with your energy. You're going to build an infrastructure that holds so the business runs with you and not on you. Remember, we don't run our business to run on us. So now you're going to intentionally pull yourself out of your business and stop using your energy to plug those holes. And we got to give our energy to where it should be. And those are those $10,000 tasks and not the $10 task. Put your energy where it should be. So you're going to automate or you're going to delegate, right? Those $10 tasks. Automate, delegate, or eliminate. You should only be doing those $10,000 tasks or whatever that number is. You should only be doing the big number task that has a lot of dollar signs behind it. As a leader, as a CEO. Now you ask, what does stabilization look like? How do I get myself out of this? How do I stop being the glue? So to stop being a glue, you don't delegate harder, you delegate smarter. You don't delegate harder, you delegate smarter now. We're going to put some things in place so you can delegate smarter and not harder, right? So now to delegate smarter, you build structural guardrails that keep things moving without you at the center. This episode, I call it a lesson because I'm previous elementary school teacher. And so to me, this is a lesson. Here's what a part of this lesson we get practical. It's like setting the classroom rules at the beginning of the year. You remember going to school, your teacher went over those classroom rules, right? Those rules were not set to slow you down. They were set so that you know how to move without chaos, because we're talking about 20 to 30 children in a classroom, right? So you're talking about your team of people. right? Same thing. You set those rules and expectations so we all can know how to move clear and consistently without chaos. In business, these guardrails are not meant to be a burden. They're to help you stop being the glue. Your guardrails are like your classroom rules. They help you stop being the glue, help everyone stay on the same page and move with clarity and consistency. So we're going to walk through those 4 guardrails that make this shift real. These are the 4 guardrails that make this shift real, right? Guardrail number 1, clear promises. What exactly are we promising, and are we structurally set up to deliver it? Did we build a system to keep it? Our car, my husband's truck is in the shop. He was in the accident, right? Little fender bender, whatever. So apparently the insurance company and the repair shop, they've having a little back and forth because the terms that they agreed on initially, now the body shop is saying after the truck has been fixed, the truck is just sitting there ready to go, right? We're now waiting on them to figure out their ish, right? The foolishness. So the repair shop is saying, "Oh well, we've gone up on our hourly rate from $46 to $54, some foolishness, right?" And they didn't write it into their estimate when they first gave it to the insurance company. So the truck is sitting there. So now they've went back to revise the estimate. And now they're saying, oh, now we have to wait on the insurance company to approve our revision. So is that a clear promise to the customer? Truck is sitting there. The audacity that they changed their hourly rate after the truck has been fixed and the truck is ready to go. So we're calling, okay, it's the truck ready. What time you need to pick it up? Oh, well, we forgot. We had to resubmit to the insurance company because our rate went up. That's a hot mess and some foolishness. So that's a drop in the ball on customer experience for me. And now when we chose this company, well, actually the insurance place chose this company, but they had high ratings. My husband said they were immaculate inside. So it wouldn't give you any clues from the outside that this business was a hot mess internally. They don't seem to have any clear processes. Somewhere a handoff was dropped because how do you say our rates have gone up and we forgot to give our new rates to the insurance company? Somewhere that handoff was dropped, right? There's not a system or a good system in place. So now the truck is just sitting there. A promise was made. The promise that was made to the customer was not kept by the collision place. That clear promise piece, that's very important to ensure you have systems in place that things are running smoothly. That's an important piece. The structural guardrail number 1 is your clear promises. Ask yourself, did we build a system to keep that promise? They apparently don't have a system to keep their promise. Guardrail number 2 is repeatable workflows. What gets done the same way every time without your involvement? Remember, if you got to ask 2 times, it needs to be documented. It should already be a system. If you have to say something 2 times, it should already be in a system. Guardrail number 3, defined roles. This is very important. Who owns what? Who should have put that process in place with that paperwork to update all the new hourly rates for this collision company? There was somebody who was responsible for updating that. So who owns what and what decisions are authorized to make without you? This is very important. If they don't know what they own, they're not your leaders. They're a liability. Defined roles are not about job titles. I don't care what title you slap on someone's profile on the org chart. Roles are not about job titles or org charts. That's not how you define a role. They're about execution clarity. How is this task going to be executed clear and consistently, right? Who owns what decisions they make, and how the performance is measured. So not only they have this task that they're going to execute, how are you going to measure their performance when this task is executed? How is that measured? Whether that be a number, whatever that looks like for you. How is that measured? When roles are truly defined, your business stops running on proximity, memory, and approval. It starts running on ownership, accountability, and speed. We want our business to run on ownership, accountability, and speed from the people that you hire, that you put in place, and not everything falling back on you. Now, what happens when this guardrail is missing? So, when this guardrail is missing, decisions stall. Everyone waits for permission because no one knows who's supposed to move. Responsibilities get blurred. You've got 2 people half owning something or 5 people avoiding it entirely. Clear roles. Who owns what? Everything rolls uphill. You're trying to push this thing uphill. When ownership is unclear, tasks and decisions fall back to the founder, the exec, or whoever is the loudest in the room, because at this point, you're probably irate if something has happened and no one is taking ownership of it, and you're trying to carry the thing uphill. So you're the loudest. Your team slow down or self-protect. High performers now get frustrated. New hires underperform. Meetings multiply and energy drains. I've been in companies like this. As a high performer, things frustrate me, especially when things are not done in order, because that's what God calls us to do, things in order, because He's not of God of chaos. New hires are underperforming because they don't know what to do. And then you want to have all of these meetings when no more meetings are needed. Now your energy is just all drained. So you ask yourself, how do you know if you have a defined role problem? How you know if the roles just need to be defined? Ask yourself, does each person know what they own without checking with you first? Are decisions getting made where the work is happening or only at the top? Ask yourself this: do people know what success looks like in their lane, or they just trying to stay useful? If the answer to any of these questions is sort of, not really, or they should, oh, they should know what to do, or they sort of know what to do, or I don't think they really know what to do, then you have a structure issue, not a people issue. It's your structure. Put some things in place. Define their roles. Stop hiring people until you get some structure in place. So what this particular guardrail look like in practice, right? When you implement this defined roles guardrail, ownership is documented. Everyone knows what they're responsible for and how it connects to the bigger picture, which is your vision, your missions, and your goals for your company. Decisions rights are clear. People know what they can approve and what they can recommend and what requires escalation. There should already be some processes in place. The guardrails of the role. Performance is measured structurally. It's not about working hard. It's about owning results. Performance is measured structurally. Cross-functional overlap is intentional, right? Not everyone's in every room. People collaborate with clarity and not chaos. So when the 2 people, if they do have similar things that have to get done, is an intentional, they've discussed it, they've talked about it, and they divvied up that work. So it's an intentional cross collaboration, cross functional overlap, right? It's not just because they're unclear of their roles and their task, right? So why this guardrail matters for scale. You can't scale a business where everyone's waiting for direction. Defined roles turn reactive teams into autonomous operators. They reduce friction, protect your energy, and speed up execution without increasing chaos. They're pre-planning for things, not just putting out fires. They reduce friction, protect your energy, and speed up execution without increasing chaos. At scale, clarity isn't an option. You gotta have clarity to scale. At scale, clarity is operational. Clarity is a part of your operations at this point. It's not an option. Structural guardrail number 4 is leadership oversight. Are your leaders actually leading, or are they just reporting back to you? They checking the boxes and then they're reporting back to you. Or are they leading? If you're still reclarifying promises, you're not being supported. You're being surrounded. If you're reclarifying promises, you're not being supported. That's not what support looks like. If you got to keep doing that, you're just being surrounded by people. And I don't like to just be surrounded by people. They need to be some type of support if you've hired them. Nobody has time for that. If you are the one constantly re-explaining what matters, if you're still the default person bringing everyone back to the mission, the metrics, or the next move, you're not being backed by a leadership team. You're being buried by a group of people who depend on your clarity because they don't have their own. So you see why clarity is important. These leaders you put in place have to be clear on your missions, visions, and goals and their ownership in the company. They have to be clear on what their responsibilities are, not just what their job title says, but exactly their execution strategy. They must be clear on that. Now, if you're still reclarifying those promises, this is a problem because you're stuck in a loop. You're repeating the same conversations about what matters, what's next, where the focus should be. You're stuck in a loop, remember. No one is self-directed. Your team may be full of great people. You got the best, but they're reacting to you and not leading themselves. Your leadership structure is too flat or too fuzzy. Nobody quite understand what's happening. And now you're holding the mental weight for everyone else's direction. That's exhausting, right? So the truth is support isn't just execution, it's shared direction. If they're surrounding you, everyone should have some type of shared direction, not just surrounding you and crowding you. Real leadership team doesn't wait to reset the compass. They carry the vision forward with you. A real leadership team carries that vision forward with you because they know your vision. You have discussed your vision and they know how your vision aligns with the values and missions and goals, right, of the company. They're on board. They have buy-in to your vision, right? So now they can operate with clarity. Now they're your support because you have shared direction. So if you're still anchoring every meeting, why? Why? If if you still anchoring every initiative, every correction, you are surrounded. You're not supported. You're just surrounded by people. Don't nobody have time for that. So let's pause here and think. I said a lot. Which of these guardrails feels weakest in your business right now? What's the first system that's missing because you're still the glue? What resonated the most with you when I went through each of those guardrails? What's the first system that pops in mind? These are not fancy theories. They're how you build something that doesn't need you to hold it up. So now that you know you're not the glue, you're the architect, right? Creating that thing, you're designing things. So why are you still holding the walls together? Because you're not the glue, you're the architect. So at scale, structure, not presence, is what keeps your business strong. At scale, it's not just your presence, it's the structure that keeps your business strong. Your power back, your power to lead like the true CEO in your zone of genius that you were meant to lead. This is what got you to this point in the first place. your zone of genius. It's time to get back to that, the things that you're really good at. So this is how you lead with vision instead of execution, putting these guardrails in place. When you install these guardrails, this is how you lead with vision instead of exhaustion. The question is, can it function without me and still hold the promise we made to the market? And so if you say no to those two questions, you're not scaling, you're stretching, right? You're busting at the seams like Incredible Hulk. And we know stretching things can snap it, right? Stretch system snap because you got that old system and that's stretching. And at some point, it's going to snap, right? Now, you know what this reminds me of? The episode A Different World where Whitley is literally spiraling. And she just, Debbie Allen leans in and tells her, relax, relate, release. She invites her to relax, relate, and release until Whitley finally breathes. So she says it, she invites it. That's what I'm telling you right now, not because the pressure isn't real, but because you can't solve structural breakdown from a place of personal overload. Your emotional overload. You're pulled in all these different directions, right? So that's what I'm inviting you to do today. Relax. Let your body release the grip it's costing you your creativity, your energy, and your joy. Release because it's okay to let go. You're not failing. You're just choosing to lead differently. And that's okay. You don't have to do it the hard way forever. You don't have to white knuckle your way through scale. You can let go of being the glue and build the business that holds without you because you can't build it and still be the glue. It doesn't work that way. And here's the part most people don't tell you. Build a business that holds without you, and you can do it without anyone rescuing you. You have the power and permission to rebuild strategically. That's your power. So, homework. Let's think about this. Where can you let go of control this week? Just pick one thing. Where can you release that control? Relax, relate, and release that control this week. And what's one small system or role you can reinforce so you're not the fallback plan anymore? This is about not being the glue, right? So what's one small system or role you can reinforce so you're not the fallback plan anymore? It's one small thing, system or role you can reinforce. So you're not the glue. Remember, you're the architect. You're designing something amazing, right? You've grown this thing this far. Now we have to redesign and tweak it a little bit. Architects don't hold up walls, they design so they can hold themselves. If you're still the glue, you're not scaling. Here's your final question and one last challenge. What's the smallest next step you can take today to start building a structure that doesn't depend on you? One small step. Go back through all those questions I've asked. Pick something. What's one small step you can take today to start building that structure that holds? That's how you build something that lasts. So let's build something that holds. Bye for now.